and welcome to episode 5. What did you want to be when you grew up? First of all, before I get started, Danya, the last time we was together and recorded, you had on some other 5 glasses. Now you got some red ones. Where you get these glasses? I know. Are these the glasses you were talking about you picked up a couple episodes ago from somewhere?
Yes. So these glasses are from Savant and Scholar. Look it up, savantandscholar.com. They are handcrafted by a brother from the Midwest. That is why I love them. With us growing up in Gary, Indiana, I'm always trying to support. And this young man is right across the bridge in Chicago. He handcrafts glasses, sophisticated, stylish, looks good, right? So check him out, Savant and Scholar. Right now he has a buy one, get one sale going on. So, I already purchased 2 more pair of glasses.
Okay, can you spell Savant?
Savant and Scholar, SCHOLAR.com.
Savant. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Right. What did you want to be when you grew up? For me, I always wanted to be a pediatrician. The reason I wanted to be a pediatrician is because I always felt really sad for little babies who were sick, or they had the sniffles, or their little boo-boos was hurting and they couldn't express to them, to their parents or anybody how they were feeling. So I did, when I went to college, I'm like, yes, I'm about to be a pediatrician. I'm be loving on these little sweet peas. Girl, I got to them biology and them chemistry classes. I was like, I don't know about this one. I really want to be a pediatrician, but I think I'm gonna have to go on over to the business department and see what they can do for a sister. And that's exactly what I did. After that first semester, I slid right on over to the business department and transferred. And as of right now, my undergrad is in finance. Okay, you can't count, I can count. I couldn't get over biology and chemistry, so I had to pass that on up. I think about it all the time. I think about what if I had just stuck with it, gotten some tutors, or, hooked up with some, different groups. You live to learn, you live to regret, you live to do over. However, I am pretty satisfied with what I do now, but I often think about Dr. LaWanda. I would have been McCoy at the time, maybe, because I probably would have been dedicated my entire life to studying. It's kind of weird. You just don't know where life takes you, and the different things that you go through. And so I don't have too many regrets in life, but I do think about being a pediatrician. My husband said something to me about it the other day, actually. I'm like, nah, bro, it's a little bit too late for that. You know what I'm saying? When you go try to be a doctor, you in school for 17,000 years or so.
So let me ask you this. Was it the biology classes, or was it the freedom of being away from home your freshman year, so you really couldn't concentrate on those biology classes?
It was hard. It was, even in high school, like chemistry, even as a hairstylist with color, chemistry has always been difficult for me or whatever. It's just, I just don't get it. And I decided that I didn't want to waste too much time trying to figure out that I couldn't do this. And so I had, I just had to, make a change. And I tell you what, that freedom, Indianapolis, Indiana was popping in 1994, okay? However, I could have been a little bit more focused, which is why I say if I had just, maybe, got the grades that I got, whatever, the first semester, and just stuck with it and tried to do things differently. It could have been better. I also, honestly, I think this is not to take a dig at, my parents or anything. I do think that if I had parents who actually went to college and kind of knew certain things, that it could be a little bit more encouragement and help with, the things that I was struggling with. I just think if, things in life had been a little bit different, then, I could have been there. But, no point of, crying over something of the past or whatever. I've moved on in my life, but it would have been nice, I think. And you just never know, where certain careers or things could have taken you. Who knows if you probably wouldn't have, I probably wouldn't be married to the person who I'm married to now. I probably wouldn't have had the child that I have now. It's just so many what ifs if you had done whatever. So I don't want to live in like regret or anything. It's just that, that was something that was just always, dear to my heart, little babies being sick. And so I commend those young women and men who, stick it out and become doctors. I know, the struggle is real and how hard it is. So I commend them.
I mean, if you just want a feverish sick baby, I got one I can send to you. I mean, you can love and take care of her. You don't need no license.
I didn't say I wanted one. I just said I want to help them out.
Look, she's my child. She need help.
Ooh, bless her heart and all her parts. Lord help her.
All her parts. Okay, let me tell you. Those little fat fingers, now they get something there now and then. She can reach everything when she stand up on them little fat tippy toes she got. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna need you to fix whatever your technical difficulties are.
It's the computer, people. It's the computer, okay?
Okay, well,
your mama.
The last time we were recording, I went to you and you told me you was the youngest, so you're gonna go last. So I'm gonna go over to Juwana and ask her this time, what does she want to be when she grew up?
Oh goodness. Well, there's two things that I've always wanted to be when I grew up. One was a teacher. From the time I was little, I can remember, teaching my Barbies, teaching my babies. And I can remember, like, when I was little, I would always write. Like, my mom would buy me little journals, and I would write in little journals. And a couple things, like, I have a lot of my journals from, like, when I was little, even now, like, 40-something years later, and, that I wrote when I was little, and I look at those things, and I'm like, wow, this is something that I've always loved to do. So, am I still doing any of those, or did I grow up to do any of those? Yes and no. As far as the author goes, I was telling my cousins today that I used to love to write so much that this is like my first book that I ever published. It was called Ed the Advisor, and it was about a goat. I don't know where Ed came from. I really don't. I don't even know why I made him a goat, but I did.
He was a goat?
He's a goat. He's a goat. But I wrote this book. I had to be about 7 or 8 when I wrote this book. And it was about a goat who was used to giving his friends, like cows and chickens, advice. And one day he came upon this person, or, this cow that he could not figure out her problem. So it tells you a little bit about how he went about trying to figure out how to help his friend, because he couldn't. It's the first time he ran into something where he couldn't give advice. So I was so proud of this little book, and I was actually super excited when I found it. My mom actually saved this thing, and literally she gave this to me a couple years back, and I was like, man, I don't even remember like writing this. That's how long ago it was. I never remember writing it, but I was like, wow, you can even tell that back then that this is something that I truly love to do.
Auntie Natalie for the win, saving the book.
Right.
All I'm
Go,
saying
Mama. Go,
all
Mama.
I'm saying is you need to bring Ed the Advisor back. Go ahead and finish the book. Let's get it illustrated and get it published.
I know. I do need to go back and look at that. Mm-hmm.
Well, now you said Ed was advising the chickens and the sheep. What was he advising them to do?
They were just asking, just little common questions, like, what am I supposed to do if this happens? And, little things like that. So it wasn't nothing. I mean, I was 7. It was, look, I was 7. It wasn't nothing major.
Never know.
He could have been advising them on how to get the ice cream, girl. I mean,
right. It could have been anything. Look, with my mom back then. So being an author, I am a published author. This is my first book that I have written. It's called Lessons My Father Taught Me. I wrote this in 2009, and actually I am almost finished publishing my second book, and it's called The Mom Chronicles. And it's something that I wrote. It's called The Mom Chronicles.
The Mom Chronicles, okay.
Yeah, The Mom Chronicles, Navigating Life, Work, and Motherhood During the Pandemic. So I kind of wrote about all the experiences that and all the things I encountered when, you know, everything shut down for COVID-19. So I kind of put all of that in the book. So that's going to actually be released in September 1st. So I am proud that I've actually accomplished that, because I didn't think, first of all, I could write a book. And then second of all, I didn't think that I ever would. So it's just kind of something that happened, and I was able to accomplish those both. So that'll be coming out in September. As far as the teaching portion of it, not quite. I always saw myself as like an elementary school teacher, maybe first through fifth grade. Let's say from the time I can remember, my cousins just told me that they thought I was bossy back then. I don't know. I think that's the teacher of me. At least that's what I'm claiming.
You were bossy. You were bossy. It's not a thought. It's a remembrance from an experience. Didn't you?
I'm going to say that is the teacher. That is the teacher in me. I was trying to get order in the classroom.
Got it.
So I saw myself as a teacher, and that never happened. Like, actually, when I graduated from high school, I didn't even think I was going to go to college. I actually thought I wasn't smart enough to go to college. When I was in high school, well, actually elementary school, I was diagnosed with a learning disability. And it's like all my life I was in these LD classes. So I kind of felt like I wasn't smart enough to actually go to college. So I never really had any aspirations to pursue being a teacher. I had one guidance counselor who was in high school who actually one day, you know, it was that time where they bring you in, they sit you down and talk to you about, you know, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? You know, what college are you applying for and all of that. And she sat me down and she asked me, you know, what I was going to do. And I was like, I probably, you know, work at the local Taco Bell. And I laughed because that was like my aspiration, that I'd be a cashier, maybe move up to management at Taco Bell. I mean, literally, that's where my mind was. I didn't see myself being or doing anything other than that. And she looked at me and she was like, if you could do or be anything that you want to do, what would you do? And I told her I would love to be a teacher, but I'm not smart enough. And she was like, well, why do you say you're not smart enough? And I told her, I was like, I have a problem with reading comprehension. I have problems with math. I have all these learning disabilities. And I was like, at the time, my grades were literally, I was like a CD student up until probably my last year of high school. So she looked at me and she's like, Joanna, I know what your file says. I know about the LD classes. I know about your learning disabilities. But she was like, you can do anything you set your mind to, but don't allow what someone says or what the doctor says or what the diagnosis is to determine what your future is going to be. And I'll be honest, that whole conversation kind of turned my life around. So in my senior year, I actually, had a goal. I'm going to go to college. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I got to get these grades up so I can get into school. So she kind of really just helped me. She kind of mentored me my senior year, helped me figure out how to get into, to school, what I would need to do, how to get my grade point average up. And because my grade point average was so low, I ended up having to go 2 years to a technical college, which was good for me because it gave me time to kind of figure out how to deal with my learning disability and still learn. Mm-hmm. So it took me a long time to graduate college. And I always tell people I spent 6 years in college.
A lot of people do.
But most people spent 4, or got it done in 3. It took me 6 years. And a lot of that's because I had to take classes over because I kept failing them. But I just can't remember her saying, you can do this. You might have to figure out a different type of way. You learn differently than other people, but you can do it. So if you fail, you just start over again. That's a new opportunity for you to get it right. So it took me a really long time, and I was super proud of myself when I did graduate. And actually, I went back for my master. I just never finished it. I was 4 classes away from finishing my master's. I know. I was 4 classes away from finishing my master's, and I was self-paying, and I just couldn't afford it. It was like $2,000 for each class and books and all that. And, I had a family and all of that. So I just kind of, put that aside, but I knew that I could do it, So I ended up going into HR.
Well, before you go into
HR,
before you get there, can I just say you owe that woman a check, okay?
I know, really.
You read a lot.
I really need to find her. I really need to find her because she was instrumental in me just being the person I am today, I mean, if she had not sat down and told me I could be somebody, I probably would still be a Taco Bell managing Taco Bell right now. I mean, literally, because that was my goal.
And it's interesting, like, that you say that, because it's always somebody, and it only takes one person, one conversation, literally, to change the course of your life. And that's amazing. That's why I say, about, a smile, a conversation, a hug. We can't hug nobody right now because of the Rona, but I'm saying, you never know how your interaction with somebody can change the course of their life. And it's funny, listening to you, I never knew. So I'm learning something new about you today. And, I've known you my entire life, that you were in the learning disability classes. I didn't know that. I never had a clue. I knew you had a learning disability because we talked about that, but I didn't know you had to take those classes all through high school. But again, shout out to whatever guidance counselor it was that changed the course of my cousin's life. Thank you.
Yes. That's awesome. We need teachers like that, counselors like that.
Exactly.
They don't make them like that no more.
Well, they might. Yes, they do. My little sister, she's an excellent teacher. She cares. That's true.
Yeah.
She's an excellent teacher. I don't know about loving them kids. Now, listen, let me tell you something. I tried the teaching thing because I needed a job. And so I took a substitute teaching job, right? And when I took it, it was for fifth graders. So I substituted for fifth graders for like 2 weeks. Well, then the third grade teacher quit. So they needed a permanent substitute. Y'all, I ain't been to nobody's college at this time. But I was like, okay, cool. They hired me to teach these kids. So it was
desperate and thirsty.
It was third graders. Now, third graders are the best grade in school because they're still eager and young enough that they want to learn, but they're also independent enough that you don't have to baby them. So third grade was the best class. But let me tell y'all something about them kids. Y'all, I lasted 2.5 months. I know why they teacher quit. Them kids was horrible. They was horrible. And they was in a Catholic school, so their parents were. I wasn't cut out for that. One little boy, he used to sit there and he used to just pick his boogers and eat them all day. Then he tried to pick somebody else's boogers and eat my boogers.
That's nasty.
I'm just saying. So, shout out to the educators. It wasn't for me.
Going into technical college. So I actually got my CNA license while I was in high school. So when I graduated, I just started working as a CNA. I had 2 jobs when I graduated high school. I worked at Chick-fil-A, which was the first job I ever had, and then I worked as a CNA and I did night shift. So I would work Chick-fil-A first, and then I would work 11 to 7 as a CNA. So because I was doing CNA work, it never even dawned on me to actually pursue being a teacher. I just thought, I'm going to go into the medical profession because, I got my CNA certification. So I'll go ahead and do that. So my first year as a CNA and going through the technical school, I actually started taking the classes, my prerequisite for nursing. But as I started to work as a CNA, I realized I don't like it. I realized it was not the glamorous job that I thought it was, I mean, you do some really nasty stuff as a nurse. I always tell people it was like the best and the worst job I ever had. I love working with the elderly. I met some people that literally I love talking to them. They felt like they was my grandma, my grandpa. I had savage relationships with them. But there's a whole nother side to nursing that nobody tells you about. But like they don't tell you about the wiping poop and vomit and bed sores and all of these things. And literally I was like, I cannot see myself doing this for the rest of my life. I just can't.
I just want to point out that usually it's the CNA who does that. But if you had made it to the nursing part, you would have been good.
Yeah, I didn't hold up very well. So after that, I mean, I changed my degree several times. I went to computer science. That didn't work because I'm not a techie. I mean, I went to English. I mean, I went to all type of things, and then finally, an advisor was like, "Have we thought about HR?" And I thought, "No, I don't know anything about HR." So they kind of steered me in that direction because, for one, I was having problems in the math. I got to pre-calculus, and Lord, I had to take pre-calculus at least 3 times.
I
And
love
once I
that.
finally got over it, it was like, "Thank you, Jesus. Find me a subject where I don't have to do any more math ever in life." So that was like the happy medium. The guidance counselor was like, "Let's try HR," and I was like, "Okay, let's try it." And that's how I kind of got into HR. But yeah, I don't know, like to this day, I don't know why I never, the whole time I was, in school, I never thought, oh, I should go back and get my teacher license. I don't know if it's just out of sight, out of mind, but it's not something I did. The one thing I can say about HR is that I did kind of specialize in the training and development side of HR. So in essence, I am teaching. It's just not in a classroom like I thought I would be.
Cool. I will say that I took calculus. It was a summer class at Purdue University. I absolutely love calculus. I think like the math classes and those harder classes, it depends on the instructor that you have. Let me say at Purdue, honey, with them those chemistry and biology classes, I'm assuming they think you have a certain level of something you're already supposed to have, but I'm not saying I'm an expert at math, but like calculus, it wasn't just like 1 + 1, equals 2, or it wasn't that type. It was like letters or whatever. I don't know. Calculus was super fun. Actually, I got a B+ that summer, and I was so upset because I'm like, I like this. How come I didn't get an A or whatever? So I think it just really again, it depends on the people who help to develop you, like the teacher, the counselor that you had. It just takes that one somebody to, look in you and say, hey, you can do this. And that's why I said that if, maybe if I had different influences or somebody, in my corner that was supporting me along the way, I could have possibly, become who I wanted to be originally. But, just,
Yeah, and I think with me already having a learning disability, you have to have a good foundation in math. So if you don't have it, like if it doesn't start as a child, I mean,
yeah.
I really struggled trying to pick it up as an adult. So it's like you have to have a good foundation as a child. And I just didn't have that. So to me, it was like it was a struggle. And then on top of all of that, I realized that I had test anxiety. And actually, my math teacher is the one who actually pointed that out to me because I was so freaked out. Like when I took the test, like some of the stuff I would actually know, but I was so freaked out about having to take this test within a time frame that it's like I would be like in tears. And finally, she was like, Joanna, this is what we're going to do for you. I looked at your file. I know you got this learning disability. We're going to send you in your room. We're going to have a proctor watch you, and then you can take as long as you want. So I am grateful for that they did kind of understand that and gave me the leeway to actually pass it. And I did eventually pass it, but I did have to take it like 3 times. And I thought, if I ever get through this, Lord, you don't ever have to worry about me taking another math class again. I am done. I don't ever want to see math again ever in life. I can count money. I know how much change I'm supposed to get right. I'm good. So yeah, so I think you're right about that. You have to have that support when you're growing up. You have to have that motivation of people that can tell you that you can do it even when you feel like you can't. It does matter. I think I think parents do the best that they can with the information that they have. But there's things that even when I was growing up that I know I want to do different things differently with my kids. If I see them having a problem, I want to be able to get them a tutor and help them now so that, when they're older, they're not struggling with it. I want to be able to encourage them. You can do whatever you want to do. My daughter asked me the other day, Mom, can I be a pink elephant? If that's what you want to be. It's like, the world is your oyster. Figure it out. But it's like, encouraging their dreams, encouraging, their ideals. I don't know what she meant by that. A pink elephant. I don't know what she meant by that, but I don't know. Maybe we might see a pink elephant in some design or something in the next couple of years. But
I encourage
being able to let them
Not the
Or
pizza.
maybe maybe she was gonna be a cross between the AKA and the Delta. I don't know.
I'm just saying, I want to encourage their dreams and things, ideals that they have, and let them know that you're the only one who can stop yourself from doing anything. If you put your mind to it, the world is your oyster. You can do what you want. You just got to do it, And sometimes you got to do it afraid because you don't know if you're going to be able to get it. But I would rather have tried something and failed than to never have tried it at all. And that's the whole point that I want to teach my kids.
Good advice. Miss Danya, what did you want to be?
Boo.
Big mouth.
Hey. Okay, so I wanted to be a few things, and we only gonna talk about the legal ones, okay? Okay, so first up, I actually wanted to be a mortician. I was obsessed with death growing up. And so we lived in a housing project in Gary, Indiana, and
Shout out to Ivanhoe.
Our housing project was across the street from a funeral home. So I would go to this funeral home almost every day. And I would go into the little rooms and look at the dead people. And then I would walk up to the people. If there was some people in there, I was like, I'm sorry for your loss. And then I would go.
They just let you roam around in the
people don't know.
And then
my godfather worked there.
Wait, I'm gonna get to that.
Okay.
I would go sign my name in the little visitor book. So every now and again I get me one of them little thank you cards from somebody's family, okay? Yeah, I used to go up there all the time. So Lawanda's godfather worked at this funeral home. So sometimes my mother would send me to the store and I wouldn't come back. I would be missing.
Blue and white?
Not the blue and white, no. I would go to the Chase store, which was by the funeral home. And so she would be looking for me, but I ain't came home yet. So what she would do is she would call the funeral home and ask Chili Dog if he saw me.
Prince Jones, what's up, godfather?
So Chili Dog is her godfather's nickname. Well, anyway, so he would come out there and he would go in them rooms to get me because I would be in there with the people's family because, I'm sorry for their loss now. I was a kid. So, yes, I was obsessed with death. I wanted to be a mortician. I couldn't wait to drain the blood out of somebody and embalm them. I don't know what happened to that fixation, but it just never worked out.
Praise the Lord, saints.
So my next job that I wanted to be when I grew up was I wanted to be a lawyer. And I wanted to be a lawyer from the very first time I saw an episode of Perry Mason. Y'all know Perry Mason could make the Pope admit to a crime. Do you hear me? Perry Mason got them when he
ain't said nothing.
Okay. Perry Mason was that dude. So I wanted to be a lawyer. I actually applied to a few law schools. I got waitlisted at 3. One I just didn't get accepted into, and I just never really pursued it anymore. I let my LSAT scores expire, and I just never took it again, and I never applied again. However, I do still intend on going to law school. Whether I'll be a practicing attorney or not, I have always wanted to be a lawyer, and I will accomplish that goal at some point in my life. I'm only 41.
Want me to do it with you? I'll do it with you.
You lying because you said you ain't never going back to nobody's school.
I do it with you. If you do it, I'll do it with you.
Okay.
All right now, is that a challenge?
I think that's what she's trying to do because she know somebody challenged me something that's on the proper. But anyway, so my next job that I wanted, I had dreams and aspirations, and I think this came to pass when I was like 12, that I was going to be the human resource manager for 3M Corporation. Now, let me tell you why I was 3M Corporation. We have an aunt who went to FAMU, and she graduated back in like 1990 something. And her job after graduation was for 3M Corporation. So I was like, well, if my aunt can work for 3M, I can work for 3M. And so I'm all like, well, what jobs do they have? And she's talking about the jobs because her job was in accounting. And she was like, well, she was talking to our grandmother, and she was talking about, well, I have to speak with human resources. And I was like, human resources? what do they do? And she was like, well, they're the people who hire the people and fire the people. And, you know, I didn't know. I was 12. I was like, okay. So I hung on to that. As I got older, when I was in college, because, you know, I didn't go to college right after high school. That wasn't my story. But when I did go to college, I automatically majored in business with a focus on human resources. So in every semester, you know, first day of class, they ask you what you want to do. And I would always say, well, my aspiration is to be the president of human resources for 3M Corporation. And people would look at me like, wow, that's a very specific job. And you know, I was like, and look me up in a few years, I might hire you. I mean, that was my attitude.
What?
And so I had this professor who he was actually one of my professors who wrote me a glowing law school recommendation letter, which I still have. He used to just be like, Danya, you're just so adamant that you're going to be the president of human resources for 3M. Let me tell y'all something about 3M Corporation. 3M Corporation is headquartered in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It cold. Like, it real cold. It wasn't going to work out for your girl, okay? So, however, though I am not the president of human resources for 3M Corporation, I am a human resource manager for an agency, and I have the human resource direction over 847 employees. So, not 3M Corporation, but I'm feeling pretty good about the direction of my life.
Ain't too shabby, girl.
It ain't too bad. You know, I do still have a few career aspirations that I plan on meeting within my agency that are also still within human resources. And so I am pretty happy with where I am right now. I didn't have a counselor or teacher per se that made this major impact. I did have a favorite teacher. Now, don't get it twisted. Madame Tucker was my French teacher at Roosevelt High School in Gary, Indiana. Best thing ever. But it was actually our grandfather and our step-grandmother and that side of my family who were all college educated. And they were big proponents of going to college. And I was just like, I can barely pass math in 8th grade. I don't know about the whole college situation. So, you know, when I did actually go to college, and like Juwan, I struggled in math. For a business degree, I only had to take one math class. It was called finite mathematics. Let me tell y'all about finite mathematics, y'all. Okay.
Yeah,
so the first time I'm gonna tell y'all how many times I took this class. First time I took it, I dropped it. Second time I took it, I failed it. Third time I took it, I dropped it. This is the only class I ever dropped in college. Fourth time I took it, I dropped it. Okay, we're getting to the point where it's time to graduate from college. I have a great GPA. I literally had to go over because I tried to take this class multiple times and I was failing, so I dropped it. I went to the business administration's office and I was like, what is the lowest possible grade I can get in this class and still graduate? And they were like, oh, you can get a D-. I said, what? Okay. A D-? Girl, what? I got a D+. Let me tell y'all something. When I tell you, Hercules. When I tell you my ex-husband and I celebrated that D+ like it was the A+, I was so excited.
Girl, the struggle is real.
It was the last class I had to take to get this darn degree. So I got my bachelor's degree in business with a focus on human resource management. And I just knew that it was not going to be an issue at all finding a job, because I remember growing up watching Cosby Show and Bill Cosby saying that education is the key to success. Y'all, when I started looking for a job, I couldn't get no job. And I was mad as hell. I was like, somebody needs to ask Bill Cosby where my keys at, because nobody was hiring me. And
Bill
I
Cosby was busy, okay? He was real busy.
I'm talking about anyway. So after I got this degree, it took me 6 months to find a job. And I was mad because, you know, y'all girl, back in the day, I used to like to shop. I don't shop no more because, you know, I got 2 bellies. So I really ain't trying to buy nothing. But I used to love to shop. And it was taking too long for me to get this job. So I finally got a job It had absolutely nothing to do with human resources.
Wow.
And I was just like, but this ain't what I went to school for. So my job was as an assistant manager for Walgreens. Let me tell y'all something. I knew on my second day, retail management was not for me. Okay?
You had to work on Christmas, boo.
Right.
Girl, Walgreens don't never close.
You had to work on Christmas.
So I knew, but I made good money. I was like, oh, this some nice paper right here. But nah. So I had bought a brand new car and everything. I was doing my thing or whatever. Then I got a headache. Turned into a migraine. Lasted for 84 days. Let me tell y'all, when this headache went away, I came home from work. I told my ex-husband, I said, I'm quitting my job and you need to figure out how you're gonna pay these bills, including this car note. Okay. My head stopped hurting. I felt so much better than my life.
The job was killing you, huh?
Girl, it was killing me. Like, people was rude and they was nasty and I didn't speak Spanish. It was a struggle because, but anyway, so eventually I started with my agency that I'm with now. And when I started with them, a year after I started with them, I went back to school and I pursued a master's degree in human resource management. And I graduated with a 3.0. LaWanda was at my graduation. Yes, she was, my little puka poo. And so it was I love human resources. I used to be more involved in things like Joanna is. Unfortunately, my life does not dictate or it's not enough hours in these 24 for me to do that. But I feel really good about where I am professionally. It may not have been a mortician. I might have to look back into that though, because the way y'all feeling folks out here, that's some good money.
You can be like
making money right now.
You be like Phaedra Parks. Phaedra Parks is a lawyer and a mortician. Okay, go get the point.
Girl, making money here.
They make good money though.
Was Uncle Johnny a mortician? Was somebody a mortician?
Girl,
I thought Uncle Johnny was a mortician. I don't know. But anyway, so yes.
I will say I didn't want to be no mortician, but I did like to look at the dead bodies too. Like I didn't go on my spare time looking at no dead bodies.
y'all scaring me.
When you would go to somebody's body, I would go to other little parlors and look at other people. I just be looking at them. And listen, let me tell you something. Because of that, I want y'all to bury me in lavender. I'm of a darker persuasion, so I have to wear certain colors. Okay, I want y'all to bury me in lavender. I want Arlene Taylor to do my hair, and don't put no dry ass makeup and lip stuff on my lips. Okay, I need y'all to make my lips real nice and juicy with some Vaseline and put a little red, a little something. No dead bodies. I do not want to.
Girl, we cremate you. We cremate you.
No, ma'am. No, sir. No, ma'am. It's something.
You don't want to be set on fire?
No, ma'am. It is something more.
I'm being cremated, so
don't do it.
I'm being cremated.
I want to be buried in Gary. Y'all send my body. I got plenty of insurance. Send my body back to Gary. Bury me in Gary.
Wait, who your beneficiary? Because your husband might not let us do that.
He already know. It's already in my will that I want to be buried in lavender. I want to be buried in Gary. It's in my will. I had that written out. Joanna is my executor. If Zarel is dead, Joanna is my executor. So she already.
Wait, why am I not the executive?
You ain't got time. You ain't got time to do the podcast.
I'm feeling some kind of way. Why am I just now finding this information out? See, y'all don't be thinking about me like that. I'm a little hurt, but it's okay. Set her ass on fire. I want you to set her ass on fire. Okay.
If y'all burn me up, I'm coming back to get you both. Okay, I'm just letting you know.
You're gonna be dead. Look.
And you made your wife.
You ain't gonna feel it.
It's over. It's over.
It's already in my will. I do not want to be cremated.
You gonna be dead. Your will don't count. You gonna be dead.
Bury me in the ground in Gary, Indiana. Send my body back. Okay. I want to be buried in lavender. And I want Arlene Taylor to do my hair. Okay. That's all I got.
Joanna, the executive, and she can do what she want to do. But if Joanna die, ain't no executive, and they might have to call me. I'ma set your ass on fire.
I do have a child. I do have a child.
What you? Yeah. Exactly. She might put you in the pot in the potter's pot.
You know?
She might, especially nowadays. She might.
You better be cremated for real.
It's
I'm gonna get you if you don't do the right thing. I'm gonna come back. And
I'm gonna need y'all to bring it back, folks. Even though I'm not the executor, I'm feeling something. I'm learning, people, audience, subscribers, viewers. I am learning things that I did not know today, and I am feeling some kind of way. But don't worry, I'm gonna handle this offline.
Just let me say, she's offended that she ain't the executor of my will, but this Negro won't even give me $20 when she hit the lottery. You know what I'm saying?
And now you know why. Now you know why you ain't getting no dollars when I hit the lottery. Let the executor give you some dollars when she hit the lottery. Okay, whatever.
Y'all is crazy.
I'm gonna bury you in the outfit from Target.
Back to this challenge. If you decide to go to law school, if I ain't too old, I am a couple years older than you, so I ain't going to be making some decisions soon. Listen, I have probably pretty stupid reasons to be an attorney, but however, I did entertain. I can't remember who I saw. It was a television show. It was a sister. She was cold-blooded as an attorney, and she had these suits, this pencil skirt, these high heel shoes. I'm like, that's a bad girl right there. I think I can do that right there.
Here's a novel idea. How about you just buy some pencil skirts and some bad heels and save $200,000 on a law degree? It's okay.
You know, it makes it more legitimate when I say LaWanda Hampton Esquire. You know what I'm saying? That got a little ring to it.
Listen, you can be Esquire right now. Don't nobody know?
Nah, I want to be fake and phony. I want to be the real deal, LaWanda Hampton Esquire. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Hey, you and I can be the attorneys. Joanna could be our human resource manager or whatever. We can just make this a family affair. It's all good. Anywho, y'all as crazy as ever. Does anybody else have anything to say about what they would have liked to be as a child growing up? Anybody got anything else? No. Anybody got nothing else?
I would have liked to been my cousin's executor when I grew up, but you know what else?
Anywho, you know what, audience, as always, we would like for you to comment on these nutbags that have had conversations today. Comment, like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, peace and hair grease.